in cyberspace, you not only have some of your longstanding traditional threats of, someone acting like they're, a peer when they're really an adult, right, to engage a child. But you also now have AI in cyberspace, and artificial intelligence AI just brings in a whole other layer of opportunity for deception that parents and children need to be aware of.
Welcome to Cyber Chats, a podcast made by the National Cryptologic Foundation. I'm your host, Kennedy Taylor, and together we'll be demystifying the world of cybersecurity by talking with amazing cyber enthusiasts like you, as well as industry professionals. Be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Welcome back to Cyber Chats. Today we have a fan favorite. I'm excited to welcome back Tina Williams-Koroma for a very exciting episode as we gear up and get ready for Cyber Saturday this Saturday. Tina, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Yeah. The new year is off to the races. So yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Kennedy.
I know. How are we halfway through already?
Yeah, I literally just had that thought this morning. Like, wait, what?
Well, Tina, obviously we know you, many of our fans know you, but for those who maybe this is their first time meeting you, could you please introduce yourself?
Yes. So Tina Williams-Koroma. I've been in the cyber field for over 2 decades now. I started when I was just a few years old. I'm a cyber entrepreneur. So T-Secure is a cyber services company that focuses on helping organizations build and maintain effective cyber programs. And CyDeploy, also founder and CEO of CyDeploy, which is a tech product that helps organizations understand the impact of changes before they make them to their technology environments. I love engaging with kids and their chaperones to make sure they stay safe online and they know how to engage with tech responsibly and safely.
And this is why you're an excellent speaker for this Saturday's session. And for those who don't know, who may be attending already or who maybe want to sign up, we do have Cyber Saturday coming up. And Tina is speaking on a session called Raising Discerning Digital Citizens. Tina, what does that mean to you? What problem are you seeing most often that this message is designed to address?
Yeah, so it's really when children are online, even adults, it's hard to tell reality from a lie, like truth from a lie. And we see that a lot with phishing campaigns with people, right? Like things look just right enough. I mean, the worst lie is one that's 99% true, right? It's just that 1% that kind of gets you. Unfortunately, even with, adults, us, being experienced in discerning truth from a lie, we still get caught up and deceived. And so how much more children, right? And so in cyberspace, you not only have some of your longstanding traditional threats of, someone acting like they're, a peer when they're really an adult, right, to engage a child. But you also now have AI in cyberspace, and artificial intelligence AI just brings in a whole other layer of opportunity for deception that parents and children need to be aware of. And so I think that, without going through the scare tactics and horror stories, that are very unfortunate with children, that's the biggest part, equipping children to be able to discern between truth and a lie to protect them, because that's where a lot of the challenges are really popping up, and the stories are varied, but ultimately it's the ability to be able to determine truth from a lie.
Oh, absolutely. And, this is scary for me listening. I mean, I live in Anne Arundel County, and just yesterday we had a situation where someone tried to take children home that, weren't theirs at a school, right? And the problem, you're right, with artificial intelligence, with technology, it has just advanced so much. It's become even more difficult for children to discern. And yeah, we were telling them, hey, don't, take candy from strangers. But
Yes.
now it's also, how do you know when you're online who to trust and who to not trust?
Yeah, yeah. And I think like one of the things and one of the things I really plan to talk about is just like the uh, parent or guardian's role in that, because the the way to best deceive is, like I said, to have most of the information be true. Right? If I tell you, oh, your mom, I'm your mom's friend, your mom's name is blah, you're, blah, blah, blah. Remember, I came to your birthday party and you had it at, Chuck E. Cheese last year. And these are things that, parents, and we're excited. I'm a mom, we love the cute pictures, we love to share. But all of that information becomes, information that a stranger can use to make it seem like there is familiarity, and like they are someone who is known, right? So they'll give 99% of the things that are true, but what's untrue and the pivotal part is you don't know this person and they don't mean you well, right? Like and so there's a role that parents and guardians play in making sure that adversaries or bad actors don't have 99% of the facts that can, draw out or deceive a child.
That's very interesting and something I think a lot of parents forget. I mean, I'll admit, not as a parent, but just as a human, we forget that sometimes when we post things online, anyone can see it, anyone can use that info. And you're right, that's info they now know and could
Right.
use.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
interesting. So
Yeah.
for those who cannot attend this weekend, I'm wondering what are some, practical ways, or what does good judgment look like
Yeah.
essentially for a child or a teen?
Yeah, so essentially, I'm going to walk through a framework. And at the highest level, like the framework is really ensuring that your children know how to ask the right questions, right? Well, how do you know me? If you're saying that you know me, how do you know me? And like you could even have with your child just kind of when they're old enough, right? Like 4 or 5 might not be as effective, but something where it's just, like a code word between you, right? Like no one is allowed to take you home. You don't go, here or there unless, someone is able to say or know what this is, right? And so it's largely a framework. One of the things I just mentioned is just being watchful of the kind of information that you're putting online. Like I cringe, like when I see, new parents, Christopher Pierre Jones, born,
Yeah.
they have the birth date, first, middle, and last name. They could probably see mother's maiden name because often, you know, um, if a woman changes her name, she puts like the maiden name in parentheses. They know, where they were born, the city and the state. It's like all that information. Think of your challenge questions, right? And so, yeah, so that's a key part of what I focus on too. Just, what kind of information to be posting, questions that you can give to your children or equip them with in order to be able to engage with someone and discern whether or not that person is someone who is trustworthy. And it's not just when they're in person, it's also online, right? So one of the other things I plan to walk through is just how you ensure that you have appropriate controls or cybersecurity configurations at home. That way, you're not so susceptible to someone being able to leverage your digital access or your connectivity to the internet to have access to your child in that way. So, one of the latest threats, and right now it's largely being used for botnet purposes, right? Like, not necessarily like information stealing, but when someone's in your environment, a lot is possible. But it is using residential digital devices for botnet to create like a botnet that, is used to do nefarious acts and things like that. So a lot of people that have these like TVs or devices that give them free streaming, like those are prime target devices, right? That are being leveraged to create this botnet. The challenge is that, again, once somebody has access to your device, if your child is also, on that device, it just, it opens up a window and an opportunity for someone to have access to your child without you knowing. So, some of the steps around just being discerning about our technology purchases, and also the settings that we have on our technology. One of the things that I noticed when we created a Netflix like children's profile was like I started getting emails like your child has watched 20 minutes of television, and I'm like, I am with my child. I can monitor in time. So, I went in and started, changing like the settings. So that's some of what we'll talk about as well. Just like for the TV itself, Vizio being a common one, and the apps that you put on the TV. Each one of those have privacy configuration settings. And while privacy and cybersecurity are not the same, they're definitely very related, right? Because when you have too much information that's available to possible adversaries, and sometimes it's not even so nefarious, like advertisers and things like that, but do you really want like your child, being targeted as they're, engaging with digital assets, with commercials, and, always trying to like give them this mindset of more, right? So in that context, protecting information from a privacy perspective also lends itself to greater protection from a cybersecurity perspective. So we'll talk a bit about that. And then, again, while AI is certainly not synonymous to cybersecurity, it has become one of the complicating factors and another avenue of exposure and exploitation for children. So just talking with parents, again, through this framework from a digital discernment perspective, on how to determine whether and how to trust AI responses and even images and the like online. One of the things I was really disappointed in hearing, just reading an article about it, was I guess like Grok is this, AI,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And just like even with children, like what the prompts are producing and things like that. I mean, so even in having too many images of your child, in the wrong places just can become fodder for, this for use by yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's really what I'm going to focus on, is providing just some frameworks and some questions, providing some feedback on how parents can better secure their devices, things parents should be thinking about when sharing information about their child online, particularly through the lens of how that can be used.
It sounds like you have a great talk ahead.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the questions and engagement from the parents and chaperones as well. Yeah.
And for those listening, just to reference X and the issue there, this was a recent situation that happened where people were using X's AI essentially to undress people, and unfortunately that included celebrities and that included minors. And there was lots of legal questioning around that about who's responsible. Is it X? Is it those who are actually putting in the prompts? And they decided it would be those who are putting in the prompts that would be held accountable. But to Tina's point, if you're sharing photos of your children, without their consent before they're too young, that those photos are online. Who knows what people are doing with them with AI? So just something certainly to think about. Thank
Yeah.
you for pointing that out, because I don't think enough people know about this and are talking about that
Yeah.
very scary situation.
Yeah. It's yeah. Yeah. Again, just so anyone who loves and looks to protect children, that is alarming, right? And it's just one of many. I had a chance to go to uh, a talk. It was I think it was Women's Cybersecurity Guild. I think that was the
Oh, cool.
organization. But they had a speaker from, I think it was with it's probably with the FBI, but it was a children's like protection unit in particular. And, you know, a lot of the traditional approaches to child exploitation, even before the internet, are just furthered and further enabled by online use, right? Like, so a lot like really hasn't changed. And I think the more that people think about um, online and cyberspace kind of being like a physical space, if you wouldn't leave your child like alone in just a physical space, that's kind of the
Wow.
mindset that you need to have even with cyberspace, sitting by close, making sure it's not headphones, like speaker needs to be on so you can hear what's being said and things like that. Like, and I get it, I'm an entrepreneur, it's busy days are, and like digital babysitters are, attractive, but
Yeah.
it's just the same where you wouldn't just leave your child out at the park while do your work unaware or not looking, at what's going on. That just has to be a similar mindset with cyber exposure and access for your child. Yeah.
Yeah, digital babysitters is a really interesting term because you're right. That's what it's doing. It's giving
Yep.
you as a parent a break,
Yep.
but if you're not monitoring, you don't know what's happening.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And things like, I mean, I know like our little guy, I mean, he's gotten pretty adept at, like, oh, he'll say he wants to start like watching one show, but really he has in mind something else, and it'll give like options down at like the bottom of the screen, and next thing I know, he's watching, Magic School Bus at first, but then he switched it to Aquanauts, or, always innocuous, so
Mhm.
far, but just the fact that he knows how to change channels and like switch, and he's 4, and so it's like I have to be mindful, like, what are you looking at, like that's not, that's not educational. That's the biggest thing for us now, right? It's like most of the things, like you can watch things that are entertainment but educational at the same time, but yeah, you definitely have to keep a close eye.
So the session we're talking about is for parents, but for the children and teens that are listening, what are some ways that you would, say that they should use to identify red flags online?
Yeah. One of the traditional things is when it's this sense of urgency, right? Like and that's something for children and parents. Like if somebody is like saying, you know, trying to create like a time sensitivity for you to like move quickly. One of the campaigns that I really liked with DHS was their Stop, Think, Connect campaign. And I think that that is still very relevant, both with cyberspace and this overlay of artificial intelligence. When something is presented to you, when there is a decision to be made to engage or not engage, et cetera, first just kind of stop. Okay. What am I really looking at? What's being requested? Who is requesting it? Can I even validate that? Like, do I really even know who this, person is? And so, after you kind of give a pause, then it's, just kind of think through, even with images that you see, like, this image could be real. Perhaps go to like a reputable source, right? Like that's reliable, a reputable news source or something like that to see, is this accurate? Is this real? If someone is saying that, oh, this is your friend, Katie or whatever, go back to a reliable number on a different
Mm.
device, give Katie a call. Katie, did you send me, X, Y, and Z email, post, or connection request? I thought we were already connected, right, on this platform. And then after kind of going through that, kind of query, then connect. But it's always important to kind of go back to a known, accurate source of communication first and validate it. Because even now, like as I see people giving me connection requests, I go back and I'm like, I'm already connected to this person. I mean, it could be innocent, right? Like maybe they lost their credentials for their other, profile and now they're having to create a new one, whatever, that could be legitimate. Or it could be someone posing as them, right? And wanting to get the same access that friends have to what gets posted, right? But they could be a stranger. I mean, how easy is it to set up a fake account? You grab somebody's real profile picture, their names, whatever's publicly there. You see some of the friends they're connected to. If you don't have your settings set up, that people can't see your friends unless they are your friend. It's very easy to set up a profile. You connect with those friends, and now all of a sudden, like you're in the trusted circle of
Yeah.
friends, getting information. So that's one of the biggest things. And then also I would say for youth or kids, when using artificial intelligence, your generative AI, it's really cool. You can ask a bunch of different questions, etc. But remember that you're not talking to a person. This is a computer program, right? And just like people can lie and deceive, computer programs can as well. I mean, we've come a long way and, kind of doing a better job in developing, AI, some of the different platforms, more popular ones. But one of the things that is just so very important is you need to verify what you are reading, verify what information you're getting back with a known trusted source before
Mhm.
relying on it. That's another thing, even for like the counseling thing that was really sad, with the young man that, used AI to get, almost like psychologist sort of counseling help and, ended up committing suicide. This is not a person, right? This is technology. It's a computer program, at best sort of a robot, right? And it's helpful to think about it. It's also not God, all knowing and all seeing and and
Yeah.
benevolent and the like, right? Like and so I think it's just really important to understand that you are getting something that is a program, that is an algorithm, that is, yes, very adept at providing information and data, but it's so important to make sure that you go back to a known trusted source, a parent or, a communication avenue or means, before just relying on what you're hearing or seeing.
Right. And just like all technology, it has biases, right?
Yeah.
Now it can push for, certain brands or it has its own agenda to
Yeah.
push. So you do need to, would you say stop, think, and connect?
Connect. Yes. 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 Yep. Yep.
Exactly.
Exactly.
One thing that worried me recently is that I saw people were using OpenAI mainly for health reasons. Like they said that was like one of their number one reasons, and people are uploading their, reports and asking what this means, and you're
Yes.
just giving away very sensitive data that
Very
you're not even
sensitive.
sure is protected by HIPAA. You have no idea. You didn't check.
Yeah, and the thing about health data, and I've commented on this many times in the past, like different from financial or perhaps other data, you can't just go in and say, look, I'm going to change it. A credit card, you can just change the number. Health data, you can't be like, oh my gosh, my health data was breached. I need to change my blood type today. Okay, so this is what it was, but I need you to change my blood type. Oh, and that health complication, that disease I have, let's wipe that one out, right? Like because it's been you can't
Right.
change it. Like that's what makes it like especially valuable to adversaries that have all kinds of, motivations. But it's also just, what makes it so challenging when healthcare is such a target, right? Like even without you voluntarily sending that information over. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I get it. People want answers, right? Like that's what makes it so easy, I guess, for adversaries to deceive and to pull out information, et cetera, is because people really want answers, right? And I definitely get that. But it's also, um, we have to kind of review our own internal like thirst for answers and kind of balance that with appropriate protection and privacy precautions. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Tina, I'm going to let you go because I know you have, lots of work to do today, but thank you so much for your time
Yes.
to hear your talk on Saturday at Cyber Saturday.
Yes. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Kennedy.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope this conversation sparked your curiosity and got you excited about the world of cybersecurity. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with fellow cyber enthusiasts. Have a question or a topic you'd love us to explore? Connect with us on CyberChat's podcast page and join the conversation. Until next time, stay curious and keep the cyber chats going.